Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Massive Iron Live. I'm Steve Shaw, or at least I think I am. Might be trapped in the Matrix, never know. Let's get the hat on. I got this new hat, and it bothers me because the bill isn't curved exactly the same on both sides. It triggers me. What can you do? What's going on, guys? I'll be on. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. I'll be on for about the next hour. If you have any questions, hit me up. um, Hit me up with as many questions as you can. Try to get them all in. If I miss your question, what's going on, Senator? If I miss your question, post it up again. What's going on, John? Occasionally, because YouTube is a little bit funny, I'll miss somebody's question or they'll think I'm avoiding their question. Not me. YouTube can be very, very, pop can, rubber band, that's right. YouTube can be very, very funny. And every week I have somebody. What's going on, Sebastian? Perfect timing. Every week I have somebody that's like, dude, I sent my question 3 times. You're not answering it. And like, it's, you know what? It's not me. I just don't see it. So post your questions up. If I do miss your question or you have something you forgot, you can go on over to Instagram. What's going on, Kyle from Connecticut? Everybody weigh in. Tell me where you're from this morning. If I miss your question, you can go over to Instagram, add Ben the Barman, slide into my DM with a question. I just had a question this morning. I guess I'll lead off with this. Somebody messaged me. What's going on, Nashville? Big Lee. Somebody messaged me this morning and said, Trainer X, what's going on, Ireland? Trainer X, Egypt in the house. Excuse me, still cold in Germany. Man, we got the whole world today this morning. That's excellent. Somebody messaged me, what's going on, England? Dang. Somebody messaged me this morning and said Trainer X said that lateral raises, he doesn't advocate lateral raises for anybody other than the advanced lifter. Or he said, what's going on, Canada? He said lateral raises shouldn't be used by anybody other than the advanced lifter. And he said, what do you think, big, hairy, ugly dude? And I said, I think black and white statements like that are for fools. You know, I hate using that term on this channel. What's going on, California? I hate using that term on this channel, but when people make black and white statements about an exercise, like you should never use it. What's going on, Norway? You should never use a lateral raise unless you're an advanced lifter. Come on. I mean, we're smarter than that. Or maybe we're not in fitness. It's just a dumbbell exercise. I mean, seriously. And once you get to the advanced stage where what's going on, Australia? Once you get to the advanced stage where you've been building up a lot of, what's going on, Wyoming, where you've been building up a lot of size and strength in your delts, you don't really need any exercise, you know, including side lateral raises. It's pretty easy to maintain. Anyway, if I miss your questions, guys, post them on up. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Just a reminder, if you need help, if you need training, first month is free. Hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman. I'm also going to be releasing an app, okay? This is a full-fledged training app where you can put your workouts, your nutrition, and you'll have access to all my workouts in this app. And I'll be announcing that soon, so stay tuned. You know what? I'm sorry to have a frog in my throat, but it is raining outside. I just stood outside for like 20 minutes watering my dog. So, all right, let's get to the questions. Post them up. Post them up. Anything. Nothing's off limits. Even stupid crap. Big Lee, is it okay to train the big three on the same day? It can be. It depends. I mean, when you look at questions like this, you have to look at the entire program as a whole, really. And you have to also look at the exercise intensity, because training the big three really doesn't tell me much about how intense you're going to train each exercise. If you train bench squats and deads on the same day, and I have peaking programs that kind of do this for powerlifting, and there are ones that exist, but you're going to have to rotate intensity some way, somehow, so you don't kill yourself or end up spending 2 hours in the gym. So that's a complicated question to answer. You can train the big three on any given day. It's a lot easier for beginners or, you know, lower intermediates. And it's also easier when you're not going super intense or super heavy on each one. Super heavy, I mean probably, above 82.5% of your 1 rep max on each one. All right, great question. Keep them coming, guys. Let's see. Let me get some coffee. Scotland's in the house. What's going on, Scotland? I'm Scottish. I had a good Scottish beer last night. It was an ale, and I forgot the name of it, so don't hold it against me. That's my first sip of coffee for the day. Kyle said, read something somewhere about training a lagging body part 3 days in a row, rested 3 days, and then repeat 2 more times. Thoughts? Well, I mean, there's many ways to train a lagging body part. That's certainly an interesting approach. It's something I would, my smell test is when I read something like that, would I like to try it? Now, a lot of people will dismiss this sort of training. They'll talk about muscle protein synthesis or this study or that study. But, for my time doing physical labor, I realized, and my time in the military, sometimes doing things over and over again every day, the body is just under an incredible amount of stress that it tends to respond in ways that we don't quite fully understand. So I don't really see any problem with trying that at all. I would go hard in the paint and then just try to recover and see what happens. I would be careful about overworking a movement pattern, meaning I wouldn't be doing it with compound movements. I'd be doing it with movements that are a little bit less punishing. So just keep that in mind. All right. I'm getting a little warm in here already. I don't want to start sweating. Let's start stripping. Oh, what's going on, Linda? Joel Clear, there are certain exercises that you shouldn't do until you have experience, but the lateral raise is not one of them. Yeah, there are certainly more advanced exercises you really shouldn't do. But, then again, we have beginners doing squats and deadlifts and bench press, and we're just like, go learn form. I'm like this, go learn form so you don't get hurt. And those are the 3 lifts that you're most likely probably to get hurt on. So, any other lift beyond that, unless it's something super, super technical that you can get, that you're using a heavier weight on, I would argue is not as dangerous as teaching a beginner to do those 3. Just my opinion. All right, what's going on, New Jersey? You guys can let me know as well. Are you a black coffee drinker like me, just straight black, or do you have to put like 17 creams in it? Not a fan of that. All right. Philo 68. Thanks for your massive iron book. Thank you for purchasing it. Anybody that wants it can head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. All right. I've read it all and appreciate the differing programs for all ages and experiences. It's paying dividends big time. That's wonderful, and I'm glad anything that I created, a concept or idea, is able to help somebody in any way. Big Lee said moderate intensity for doing squats, bench, and deadlift on the same day. Yes, I'd still be very, very careful about, you might just want to have one of them a little bit lighter on that day and kind of rotate intensity between them. The Lifting Lutheran, one of my clients, he is down in Disney World, sunny Florida. It's raining again here in Ohio. I think I've had one day where I've done my Q&A where it wasn't rainy and gloomy. So, all right, Sebastian. Would doing high volume push-ups, about 500 reps in less than an hour, count as conditioning or endurance? Yeah, I mean, that's conditioning work, absolutely. Anytime you're doing timed exercise, you are conditioning the body. If you just sat down and did 10 push-ups a day for the next month, you would be conditioning the body, but not to the same degree you would be by doing, that type of work. The intensity, and we're not talking about intensity in this way with it meaning weight relative to your 1 rep max. Intense exercise is going to condition the body. Last night, sometimes when we're running, we just started in the running season again. I'm training for my trail marathon in July. I do a lot of short runs, mile runs, and then I do a lot of, we're going to try to do more longer runs. Last night, I was going to try to get to 2 hours, but I only ran for 100 minutes. But that was very, very intense. And you want to have a certain amount of very intense work or challenging work to bring up your conditioning. I'm not sure if that really answered your question, though. John, on the big lifts, would it be beneficial to drop the weight and do more sets after finishing my working sets? One of the things I have always done on the big movements is I would work up to my heaviest stuff first when I am fresh. And then after those sets are done, my heavier sets, I would drop the weight and do them for max reps. So yeah, you can certainly do that. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of getting in some, sloppy volume, and I use sloppy facetiously, tongue-in-cheek. All right, I use it in that manner because, you're already tired, so your form's not probably going to be 100%. So I like to drop weight and do more reps after that. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of volume in general. Mammal, CH. Squat substitutions or alternatives. I have back and knee pain and can't do them. I want exercises that won't hinder my progress. You can't replace a squat. You can't. And you know what I'm going to tell you, Mammal? I get this all the time from people. I have back and knee pain. What can I do other than the squat? And I'm going to be honest, I don't know you, so I'm not saying this is your case. But in 90% of cases, people don't have back and knee pain. They just don't want to do the work required to they just don't want to squat and deadlift. They just don't. They don't. And if I don't know if you're obese as well. There are some people out there that are very obese that the reason why their knees and backs hurt is because they're obese and they need to lose weight. So, and you know what? The bottom line is, without knowing your knee and back injury, I can't advocate any exercises for you. That would be foolish. I don't know if you have a spine issue. I don't know if you have tendon issues in your knees. But you know what? Ultimately, you need to let me know if it's a mangina issue. If you just don't want to do them, just come clean, all right? Because that's fine. I have clients that come to me and I don't want to squat and deadlift. I'm like, that's okay. Not everybody has to squat and deadlift. I can give you programs that you can use that don't involve those lifts. But at least be honest with me and don't come to me and say, I have injuries. What can I do? I mean, I can't tell you to do anything if I don't know your injuries. And I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be a hard ass or an asshole. All right. Frankie, how to recover from a pulled muscle in the lower back. Been there many times. Over the course, if you're going to lift for many, many years, you're going to pick up injuries. The only thing you can really do is give it time. You have to give it time, and you can't do lifts that are potentially going to aggravate it, like squats, deadlifts, even barbell and dumbbell rows tend to aggravate me, my lower back when it's a little bit off. Obviously, things like Romanian deadlifts. So you can do a very, very light warm-up set with them, but I would be very, very cautious about doing any of those exercises. The only thing you can do when you have a strain is just give it time and take it day by day. That's all you can do. All right. Sebastian says black coffee. Yep, black coffee. That is the nectar of love. Let's see. Patrick. Come to Scotland, it rains every day. Scotland is a lot like Ohio because we are coming to Scotland actually next January. We'll be coming to Scotland, and we're going to try to spend 2 weeks there and just do some hiking, get off the beaten path, and see what kind of trouble we can get in. So, yep, keep that in mind. Let's see, Ahmed. Let's see, Cujo just said maintenance. Not sure what you're referencing, Cujo. Ahmed, I struggle in increasing my chest strength and size. What's your advice? I don't really know, Ahmed. I need more specifics, to be honest with you. I need to look at the nuts and bolts of your program. I need to look at, your eating. There's so many things I need to look at. I will get to the essence of what you said. I struggle. All of us struggle on many things in the gym. Sometimes that can be expectations. Sometimes we can expect just to rocket along because we see on the internet everybody benching 315 like a beast, And we want to get there. And I don't know that that's the case for you. But we look at this stuff on the internet and we just want to get there ourselves, right? And we feel like, man, it's taken forever. I'm struggling. Are you making progress? Are you adding a rep to your sets on your bench? Are you adding a rep to your sets on machine chest press? All the exercises you're using. Are you attacking in the gym each workout, trying to add reps to sets, add weight when you can? If you are on the right path. If you are not attacking, trying to add reps to each set, then you need to start. And if you need more information, check out my book, Massive Iron, at superlivingtoday.com. But if you are attacking every set and you're not making any progress at all for months, we might have to look at diet. It's not normal. I had one client like that who was just like stagnating with weak weight. And you know what? At the end of the day, some of that's got to be diet, and some of it's just got to be you need to increase your freaking effort. You need to increase your intensity in the gym. You need to go after it, because there's no reason a man, of all things, needs to stay weak in the gym. And I say that because when I go train a woman, they don't know strength standards generally, so they tend to just rock it up in strength when I tell them, okay, you can do this. So if you want to send me your question, Ahmed, on Instagram, we can get into more specifics. You can go over to Instagram at Ben the Barman. Tell me where your bench was 6 months ago. Tell me where it is now. Tell me what your weight is 6 months ago. Tell me where it is now. And tell me what you eat, and I'll give you some general advice. All right. Let me get my clients. I got my clients blowing up my phone. They still haven't figured out that I'm on Instagram at 10 a.m. Eastern every single morning or every single Saturday. All right, what's going on, John West? What's going on, Barry from North Carolina? Harut, progressing nicely. That's wonderful. Only problem is pants are getting a little tight around the thighs. That's a good problem to have. Any way to get stronger legs with minimal growth? Harut, you're on the wrong channel if you want stronger legs with no growth. No, strength equals size. Buy some bigger pants, have some bigger wheels, have a better life. That's it, man. I mean, if you don't want your legs to get any bigger than they are now, you just need to stop trying to get them stronger. That's the only way you can do it. But you really just need to buy some bigger pants and grow some bigger legs, because there's no downside to having big, impressive legs in a world of little stick figures, little stick legs. Austin, if you can get to me, what's your advice for my muscle group splits as a beginner lifter? What's my advice? What's my advice on splits? My advice on splits is don't worry about splits. Worry about the things that matter. The things that matter are covered in my book, Massive Iron. You can get it at superlivingtoday.com. All right. And commercial, but I got to mention it because it is covered in there in detail. If the things that matter, having a good exercise selection, having a reasonable amount of volume, getting a lot stronger than you are now, being very consistent, and being consistent by going to the gym and having your diet consistent. If you do all these things over time, you're going to be absolutely fine. Don't worry about splits so much. In general, for most people, an upper-lower is a good way to go. For a lot of my clients, I do an upper-lower, upper A, lower A, upper B, lower B. They rotate between these 4 splits. And life is busy, so sometimes they can only lift twice a month, or twice a week, excuse me, and sometimes 4 times a week. So they kind of rotate between it. That is a good approach for the average person, so I hope that helps. Let me get some coffee. Mike, thoughts on landmine squats? For those of you that don't know, landmine squats, you put a barbell in the corner, you grab the end of the barbell here with weight, and you squat down like you would a goblet squat. What are my thoughts on landmine squats? They're a good alternative and I always forget about the exercise, to be honest with you, when I'm talking about home gym stuff, so thanks for bringing it up. They're a good alternative to goblet squats. I really despise goblet squats. I just don't like doing them because, honestly, I can never get enough weight on the goblet squat. And it's just a pain to get, like a 140-pound dumbbell up into position. But in any case, it's a good exercise. Like the landmine squat and the goblet squat are good exercises to get your volume in. It's a good exercise. One thing I find is it tends to work the delt because you're constantly holding it up here. So, yeah, good exercise. Let's see. Danielle Khan. Yo from Singapore. Yo from Singapore. What's going on, Daniel? Have you ever used the Larson press to increase your bench? No, I never used it. I trained for, so very, very long, just using the basics. Larson press isn't really something I heard about till 10 years ago. So, no, I've never used it. I'm going to move the camera just for a minute, guys, but I'm going to keep going. All right. Austin says rains here in Seattle too. Yep. I mean, Ohio, since I've been here, has been absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know why. It's just been, I don't know if you guys can see it. Now you can't really see it. It's just gloomy, raining again. Just nasty. All right. Let's see what we got next. Infected. I'm doing HIIT during my slow cut, 10 to 11 miles per hour for 1 minute heart rate. Peaks, where do you go? 170 during my sprint. I would do this for 20 minutes 3 times a week. Is this too much? No, it's not too much. It's not too much at all. Just give me 1 second. Not too much at all. Let's see. Philo, black coffee with a shot of MCT oil. Ticks off all the boxes. Yep, that's what they say. I don't like putting oil in my coffee. That's just a personal preference. So, Barry Ross, straight black with chocolate whey. That's the way I used to do it. I used to do the whey protein in the black coffee. You just have to add a little bit of water so it doesn't curdle up on you. And I promise I'll stop moving the phone in just a minute. So, Berlin. I'm currently a novice running 5x5, and I'm finding it too hard to complete the last 2 sets. It makes me fatigued. Any advice? The only advice I can give you is suck it up. And I'm not trying to be hard, but you need to hear it. Suck it up. You're going to be fatigued in the weight room. You're going to be fatigued in the weight room. That's normal. Like a lot of people will come to me and they'll say, I'm getting tired. Doing my workout, and at the end I'm too tired and I had to quit. Don't quit. Just do the darn set anyway. And if you can't get 5 reps in, you got to wait until you just try to build strength, right? Until you can you get in there and do that. You can get in there and do your 5x5. If you can't do your 5x5 with a given weight, just keep pushing till you can. That's how progressive overload works. All right, let's see what we got next. Matthew, I recently started training over the last 2 months. Put on a nice amount of muscle so far, and I'm enjoying making progress. Thanks for your advice. Just keep it up, Matthew. You're on the right track. Whatever you're doing is working. So just continue along that path and don't overcomplicate things. All right, let's see here. Just give me 1 second, guys. I just had to block somebody on this channel. You always get some smart-ass little dickhead who thinks it's funny to spam your channel with stupid shit because they got nothing to do in between beating off. All right, excuse my honesty, but that's pretty much the truth. Let's see. Joshua. Men can get usually a lot more powerful in the gym than the ladies. They could. But, I find when I train women, they tend to get pretty darn strong, and they almost always end up being stronger than like the average gym rat. And not like you guys. I mean, you guys lift a lot, but like the average gym guy who's in there doing cable tricep extensions with 30 or 40 pounds and just really not challenging himself, the average woman that I train will end up, just blowing that away. So, what's going on, Israel? What's going on, Austin? Raphael, I have a bad shoulder since birth. Doing any type of heavy benching always caused me pain while trying to balance. I recently tried doing a Smith machine and floor press and have no pain. Generally, I'm not an advocate of the Smith machine because of the fixed position. I find it unusual that you're able to do the Smith machine, or I find it interesting that you're able to do the Smith machine and not a bench press because, as you said, the imbalancing or unbalancing causes you issues on the Smith machine or on the bench press, excuse me. If that works for you, then work it. I'd be very careful about going heavy on a Smith machine, and by that I mean above 82.5% of whatever your perceived max is on the Smith machine. I would do it for volume of reps, meaning about 8 to 10 rep sets, and I would try to progress in there. So I hope that helps some. And listen to your body as well, because the Smith machine can tear people up. If you start to feel torn up from the Smith machine, you might need to make some adjustments. Frankie, how heavy should you go before you use a belt on squats? I didn't use a belt on squats for like, I don't know, 28 years, and I really don't think I ever needed it. There's really no magical answer to that question. At the end of the day, you really don't need a belt on squats. Does it provide some benefit? Yes. Can it provide some benefit? Yes. You know, do you need it? No. So there's what I tell people is before you get into squat shoes or a squat belt or anything like that, you know, knee wraps or you know, knee sleeves or anything like that, learn how to squat properly. Learn how to squat properly. Have somebody like me critique your squat, say you're okay, and then worry. Once you get your squat all figured out, if it's in a good position like that, then you can start worrying about the other things. So I hope that makes sense. All right, let me grab a little coffee. Jan, is there a time limit for a full body workout? Because it takes me 2.5 to 3 hours to finish. There's no time limit for anything. If your body can tolerate it, you're just going to bring up your conditioning level. Do you need to spend 2.5 hours or 3 hours in the gym each day? No, that's why I don't like doing full body workouts personally, because that's just what would end up happening for me. So there's no time limit. You can be in the gym as long as you want, but you know, if you're going to be in the gym that long, you might need to take something to keep your energy up, to keep your electrolytes up, and make sure you stay hydrated. Lordak 3, how to stop wrist bend on the bench press. Wrist bend. Well, first off, when you're benching, you got to make sure that your wrists are over your elbows, okay? About over your elbows. So if you're set up like this on the bench, wrist has to be about over the elbows. And I don't know if you can see it, but if it's not, if it's rotated this way, you're probably going to have a tendency, your wrist's going to have to fight it. If it's that way, your wrist's going to want to roll this way, all that kind of good stuff. So you really have to learn a good setup first and foremost. And I don't know specifically what issue you're struggling with. If you could send me your bench press video on Instagram at Ben the Barman, I'd be happy to take a look. See here, Freddie, can you build muscle doing a lot of lightweight sets and reps? The only way to build muscle is progressive overload. And progressive overload can be an increase of volume over time, which is finite. But at some point, you're going to have to use heavier weight. You can go into the gym now, and let's say you went into the gym now and you just did 40s on dumbbell bench press. Okay, I'm going to use your example. You're going to grab 40s on the dumbbell bench press. And you decide you're going to do a 10 by 10, all right? You could possibly build some muscle in that first month of using that 10 by 10 with 40 because you've increased the volume, okay? If you just did 3 sets of 10, that's all you did, you have pretty mediocre volume, not going to do much. But because you increased your volume the first week or the first month, there's a good likelihood that you're going to build some muscle because you progressively overloaded volume. After that first month, if you don't add volume or if you don't add weight, you're not going to build any more muscle. So the answer is no. Now, there are ways you could up the intensity. You could, with your 10 by 10 with 40s, you could superset them with an AMRAP set of push-ups, like as many push-ups as possible. And that could probably last you another 2 or 3 months. So you could theoretically, between push-ups and dumbbell bench press, gain muscle using that type of protocol. But at that point, it would stagnate, and you have to know what your next move is. What's my next move? You always have to be upping the ante some way, because after a period of time, your body is going to adapt, and it needs an extra stimulus to have some reason to build muscle. So just keep that in mind. If you go out and run or hike, do a lot of hiking, and you're doing a lot of steps, you could potentially, your legs could potentially add a half inch or an inch of muscle just from all those steps over the course of a year. But they're not going to get any bigger if you continue to do that, continue to challenge them in that way. They're not going to get any bigger because they've already adapted there's no reason for the legs to add on 5 inches just from doing hiking. There's no reason for the human body to add on a lot of muscle mass just to continue to do the same thing over and over again. If you have a certain amount of muscle mass today and you're doing 10 by 10 on dumbbell bench press and supersetting it with push-ups, and you're not increasing the intensity or pressure on your body, there's no reason for it to get bigger. It can do it already at that. It's already efficient at that size. So I hope that makes sense. Get strong. Joshua. The bottom of the bench is more shoulder focus. All right. Barry Ross, 20 rep squat programs. Check out my book, Massive Iron, over at Super Living today. There are some programs in there for 20 rep squats. I've also written some myself. You can Google Steve Shaw, 20 rep squats. There's some programs out there for free. You can also hit me up a DM and I'll give you some ideas. Tips for farmer's walks. When you're doing a farmer's walk, you have to ask yourself what your goal is. Are you trying to work on your grip ability while walking? Then don't use straps. If you're like the rest of us and you don't want to have to deal with elbow tendonitis and you're just after bigger traps and you just want better conditioning, then use straps, and that always triggers someone. But all that grip work will end up beating up your elbows. You'll end up getting tendonitis. A lot of people end up getting tendonitis, so just be careful with that. I really have no tips because it's a rather simple exercise. Just start out reasonable. The only thing you don't want to do is just go heavy right out of the gate. Build up a base level of conditioning, over a span of 2, 3, 4 weeks. Get the feel for the exercise before you start adding weight. Let's see, Danielle Quinnell. Hey, my legs are getting stronger, like 160 kilogram squats, but they have chicken legs. First thing I'm going to ask you, Danielle, is are you monitoring your leg size monthly? Are you taking tapes? Are you measuring them with the tape to make sure they are or are not adding size? Because if you are not, you're guessing. And you know what? Most people guess. Adding a half inch on your legs, you can't visibly see that generally, right? So 9 times out of 10, when somebody says their legs aren't getting bigger, I'll say, are you measuring every month? And you know what the answer is? No. So the first thing, Danielle, is you need to start measuring your legs every month, and you need to monitor them for changes. You also would need to look at your squat program, make sure you're getting in enough volume for your legs and quads and squats in general. Getting to that's a decent squat. But if you're not getting in enough volume, you might be hindering your leg size. If you're not getting enough additional quad work, you might be hindering your leg size. So we have to look at all the variables. It's very difficult for me to tell over a video like this, but you really want to look at, first thing you want to do is measure your legs every month. You want to make sure you're getting enough squat volume, and if you're concerned, you need to get in some quad volume to back that up as well. Let's see. Raphael, move away from the window. I did. Sorry about that. I had to go to my computer and block a troll on here because it doesn't work well on the phone, so I apologize for that. Zen, coffee and whey protein. I sometimes add green powder and sometimes peanut butter. Do your own thing, brother, but that sounds disgusting. I won't even lie. That just sounds absolutely horrible. But if you like it, enjoy it. Berlin Ghoul, is there a difference between 5x5 and 3x5 for novices? The only difference between a 5x5 and a 3x5 is that a 3x5, you're generally going to use a slightly heavier weight, but you're going to do so at the expense of less volume. Don't get caught up in set and rep schemes. Nothing's magic. Get your head out of that world. It's a bad world to be in. The real world you need to be in is progressive overload. You want to have a reasonable amount of volume, but you want to get stronger on that volume. That's what you need to worry about. No magic set and rep schemes. No magic set and rep schemes. No magic set and rep schemes. Get your head out of that world. No magic workouts. Get your head out of that world. The magic is progressive overload, getting a lot stronger than you are now. That is the magic. That's the magic over time. Applied over time. Go get it. Sorry. Schedule deload or go by feel. I don't randomly schedule your deloads. Don't randomly schedule your deloads. Like you're sitting here today, you're like, okay, come June, I'm going to schedule a deload. Why? Why are you randomly scheduling a deload? Unless you're on a specific a program where you're going to reach overtraining because of the overreaching because of the program you're on, you don't need to schedule a deload. Save deloads for when you're sick. Okay, let's think about this. Each year, we're going to get sick a certain number of days. Each year, we're going to want a little bit of vacation, all right? Each year, we're going to pick up a nagging injury where we need to take a day or two off of the gym. Or each year, your girlfriend's going to kick your ugly ass out of your apartment because you're no good, you don't work hard enough, and you just play video games all the time, and all you want to do is lift and talk about gains. So you're going to kick your ass out of your apartment, and each year you're going to need a couple days to find a new apartment, right? So all that stuff considered, you know, injuries and illnesses and your girlfriend kicking you out, those are the kind of the days where I take off from the gym. When I feel awful or off, or like I need extra rest, then I work it in. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. When I feel sick, then I take time off. But unless you're on a specific, program where you're trying to overreach, save the deload or off time for when you need it. And, I know there's some generic advice out there like after 8 to 12 weeks of hard training, take a week off. That's certainly fine. If you go 8 to 12 weeks hard straight, you can take a week off. That's certainly fine. But I don't know about you, but a week away from exercise, and I feel like 3 days away from exercise, and I feel like a big fat blob. So let's see. Big or small meals before training. Don't eat a big meal before training. It's like, what happens when you eat a big meal? You're like sluggish. And then you run the risk of vomiting. There's so much going on in your body. Your body's trying to digest that humongous meal. For me personally, and everybody's different. Some people can go into training fasted, and I've done that for many years. Some people, they like to eat a big meal 3 hours prior, and then by the time they get to the gym, they feel good. Don't eat a big meal right before going to the gym. That's probably that's probably a universal thing that works for most people. I like to eat something reasonably small about an hour to hour and a half before going to the gym. Back in the day, I would do like a banana and a whey shake. Lately, I have my last meal about 2 o'clock, which is, just like a Whole Foods meal, but it's very small. It's like about a 300-calorie meal of chicken and vegetables. It sounds gross, but it has like black beans and corn and some stuff like that in it. So it's got a wide variety of micronutrients. So I eat that about, 2 o'clock, and then I'll train later. So I'm not sure if that helped. I'm in. I love conventional pulling, but I'm like twice as strong with bad form. Why is this? If you're stronger with bad form, that's a discipline issue, and the only thing that'll improve your discipline issue is to improve your discipline, to work on form. You're lacking some form. You're lacking some fundamental understanding of deadlift form, because it is breaking down because you don't know what the cues you should be focusing on. That's what's happening. You need a good coach like me or many of the other folks out there. There's many guys that can, help you, with your deadlift, but you need somebody to look at it, okay? And you need somebody to say, okay, you got to improve this, you got to improve that, and then these cues, they'll be in your toolbox, and then you can apply them when you're deadlifting. When you go real heavy, your form is naturally going to have a tendency to break down, and that's really when all these cues pay off. So you really shouldn't train heavy above. There's really no need to max out on your deadlift. There's really no need to train above 90%. Just have somebody like me critique your deadlift. If any of you guys need help with a deadlift form assessment, I offer that at my site, superlivingtoday.com. I don't do a lot of them, because a lot of people think their deadlift's okay, but I do like one of those assessments a week. So if you want some help, just head over there and I'll be glad to help you out. All right. Divine Terror. Can you tell me the best lower back assistance exercise for deadlifts and squats? Boy, the best lower back assistance exercise. Hyperextensions, maybe. I kind of like the dumbbell Romanian deadlift as a lower back assistance exercise, just because you're forced to keep your lower back tight. You're doing kind of almost a slight bent knee deadlift action. That's probably the best exercise, because it forces you to do a deadlift variation where if you don't do it wisely, you're going to, the brunt of your mistakes would be on your lower back. So you really need to keep the lower back in check, keep the lower back tight when you're doing that, not go so low when you're doing a Romania deadlift that your lower back breaks or rounds. So that's a good one. Hyperextensions, those are my two personal favorites. I don't like the straight leg bodybuilding type good morning. I'm not sure if that helps at all. Bob Hatcher, is it a myth that soy protein is bad for males? Does it cause estrogen? Look, here's the thing. If you are out there exercising, if you're out there eating right and taking care of your body, a little bit of soy each week isn't going to do anything crazy to anyone. The biggest thing that impacts a man's estrogen, and this is something men need to be worried about more than anything, is eating like crap and not exercising. My clients, a lot of the folks that come to me have had let's be honest, they've had a bad spell. They've had where they're not exercising a lot, where they're not eating right, and it messes with their hormones. And that's something you really need to worry about. Don't worry about having a little bit of soy each week. Don't. Just take care of your body. You'll be fine. Philo, no belt, no wraps, no straps until you become a beast. Then and only then you need them. I wouldn't say that because I don't. Just no wraps. Don't worry about that stuff until you have good form. There's different cases for everybody, and you might have a history of injury. You might want to support on your wrists, support on your knees. There might be cases. But just wait until you got your form nailed down before you worry about spending money. That's my main concern. Don't spend the money before you need to. Raphael, trying to do more unilateral exercises like lunges and Bulgarian split squats, but I find it hard to balance on those exercises. Advice on how to fix that. There's no way to improve your balance but to work on it. Simple as that. There's no magic way around it. Balance is trained like anything else. There's nothing... lunges are a little bit easier as far as balance goes than Bulgarian split squats. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't like doing Bulgarian split squats, because of the balance issue. I prefer lunges for that reason. So the only thing you can do is just continue to work on it. I would work on it with a light weight. Max Power just said, still live? Nope. I am. I'm just kidding, Max. I'm still here. Let's see. Canaprocus. Probably pronounced that wrong. My left shoulder mobility impingement is keeping me from squatting. I'm deadlifting, but would front squats replace... You can front squat, absolutely. If your shoulder mobility is preventing you from squatting, a couple suggestions. You need to go wide on your grip. See if that helps. Maybe try a bow bar, which is something I used over the years. Or you can just, yeah, you can use front squats, absolutely. Let's see. I'm going to grab some coffee here. You know, you realize when you're doing these live videos that after every question you go, let's see. And I'm sorry to annoy you guys. I'll try not to do that. Noten, what's best 3-day weightlifting for fat loss? There's no program for fat loss. Fat loss is all about calorie reduction. You don't even have to lift weights to lose fat. A weightlifting program is going to burn very little calories in general. It doesn't matter. Just use the program you like. Fat loss is all about calorie restriction. Harold Bearclaw. Hey, big hairy ugly dude. Just wanted to say thanks for your work. And you're doing great. Greetings from Croatia. Thank you for your support. It absolutely means the world to me that I can help you guys reach your goals in some way, shape, or form. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to thank me. It means a lot. Note, new sub here, by the way. Been binge watching your stuff. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. It's such a wonderful way to help people, and there's so much nonsense out there. And I try my very best to help you guys weed through the bull crap. And if I ever do anything, you know, off base, just kick me in the butt if you think I'm full of crap. All right, Cavender. Hello, sir. When I try to eat more protein, my uric acid increases. Please guide me to overcome this problem. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I've probably at some point in my career looked at uric acid, but it's nothing I really know anything about. As I stand here before you, I really don't know. And one thing I don't know that I can't offhand say I know what levels of uric acid are dangerous or unhealthy. I don't know if it's healthy. So there's really nothing I can do. I'm not equipped with that information today. And one thing I will never do on this channel is try to be an expert in something I'm not an expert in. So I apologize. If you want to message me on Instagram, though, at Ben the Barman, I'd be happy to do some research if you know your specific uric acid levels and tell you my opinion. Danielle, I have the exact opposite issue. My legs are huge, but adding weight to squats has been a struggle. Just keep fighting it. Just keep fighting it. Just keep fighting it for one more rep. One more rep. That's all you can do. All you can ever do is focus on what you can control. You can control your fight. You can control how hard you fight. You can control trying to fight out, trying to beat out one more rep out of that set. That's what you can control. Just keep focusing on that, and over the long run, it will pay off. Kyle says, thank you for your service. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. U.S. Army vet from Fort Lee, 76 Yankee, which is unit supply. MC Adams, you skipped me 4 times. I did not skip you, MC. Repeat, and I said this at the beginning of the video, YouTube is very funny. Every week somebody's telling me I'm skipping their question, and I'm not. It simply does not show up for whatever reason. YouTube is very funny, and I apologize for that. Nearly every time I do a YouTube video, it just drops, or somebody says I'm skipping their questions. I'm not skipping them at all, I promise. It's YouTube is not showing the question because it is a quirky, crappy platform, to be honest with you. So if I do miss your questions, go to Instagram at Ben the Barman. Send me a question, I'll answer it. What's the simplest and best way to improve my vertical jump to be able to dunk a basketball? The simplest way and the best way is to get your squat up to about 400 pounds. If you can squat like 315 for 10 reps, that's a good start. That's a good base. You also want to get your calf strength up. You want to focus on that a lot. A lot of people don't focus on progressive overload with their calves. They go into the gym and they just do, the same weight for sets of 10. That's your base. That's your base. When I went into college, my vertical leap sucked. And I focused on squats for 1.5 years and quad work and leg work, strengthening my quads. And at the end of college, I could grab a rim pretty easily at 5'10". It was to the point where I was trying to dunk, but I couldn't dunk because I just needed that extra 4 inches. Who doesn't need an extra 4 inches, right? That's my best advice. Danielle, just want to say thank you for answering my question. Thank you. I appreciate it. Brooks, thanks all your information. Appreciate it. Do not stop. Thank you, Brooks. I appreciate the support and the encouragement. Kev Watson, how often do you take a week or day off? I answered this a little bit earlier. When I feel like crap or worn down or weak or sick, then I take a day or two off. There are times in your life where you're just like, man, I just need a break. I just need a break from the pressure of going into the gym and pushing. And if you feel you're at that extreme level, then take a week off. But I wouldn't plan to take a complete week off. I hate being arbitrary like that. I would recommend instead just, like I'm going to continue to take days off until I feel my motivation come back. Amen. When people say conventional deadlift with bad form, like rounding your back or at least upper back, is always going to be stronger compared to neutral upper back deadlift constant. Many people say conventional deadlift with bad form, like rounding your back or at least upper back, is always going to be. I don't understand the question. Rounding your upper back or at least upper back is going to be stronger compared to that's. I don't understand. Maybe you could rephrase it. You don't want to keep a neutral upper back, because when you pull, your shoulders are going to move forward, and that increases the risk of tears in your rhomboids and your that increases risks of tears in your back muscle. You don't want to deadlift with a neutral back, because the second you stand up, your shoulders are going to move forward. Scapular retraction, or having it semi-retracted and not just loose and rounded. The scapula is a muscle that's designed to be static. The whole thing's in place. And when you deadlift and you pull that forward, you dramatically increase the risk of tear. An upper back rounding is normal. It's not bad form. People need to understand human physiology when they're talking about the deadlift. That's my best understanding of it. So I hope that helps some. Captain Howdy finally made it here. Homemade deadlift platform. Can it be 2 feet by 8 feet? No overhead or hard dropping. 2 feet. 2 feet's about that. I don't know, man. I mean, that's kind of sketchy. Like whether you'd have room to. I think you could get your feet under the bar. I mean, 2 feet, yeah. That would probably be wide enough. It's going to be a little bit, narrow. I'd probably add an extra 6 inches, because we could all use an extra 6 inches. You know what I'm saying? But just being silly, just humor, folks. 30 inches. I would probably just push it out to 30, because 24 is a little bit sketchy you can get the bar under there and you can get your feet under there, but there's not a lot of wiggle room. I would probably consider maybe 30. That's what I would do. Trent, Z squat 200 pounds and up gives me nagging elbow pain even with a towel. I don't know what a Z squat is. So, sorry, maybe you can explain. There's like I'm sorry, man, but you know what? Let's be real here. There's like 1 billion exercises these days. Every knuckle fuck in the world is like advocating 17 new exercises to increase your gains, and nobody just does the basic crap anymore because it's sexy. I'm a basic crap guy, and I try to stay educated on most things. But there are just some things I never heard of, because people are making up bullshit faster than I can keep up with their bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Hector, cutting and bulking or lean mass phase? I don't know what you're asking. A lean mass phase is a bulking phase. So I'm really not sure what you're asking, Hector. DMM, Donna's modification motivation. Does muscle really have memory? Yes, it does. Here's what happens, Donna. When you work out, when you gain strength and gain muscle, the mitochondria, I've written an article on this, but the cell gets strengthened, okay? I believe you actually add extra mitochondria to the cell. I believe, and it's been a while since I wrote the article, and it's slipping my brain right now because I'm old, but the cell does get fortified. The cell structure actually gets fortified. And I believe there's actually extra mitochondria that are added to the cell structure itself. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong because I wrote the article. I just forgot all the mechanics. But I do know the cell structure is fortified. The cell structure is fortified, and that never goes away. It's like an addition on a house. And over time, when we lose muscle or when we lose strength, when we come back, it's easier to put on muscle mass again because that cell is already built for it. It's built for speed, so to speak. And it's easier generally for us to increase strength because we've already been there, and weight generally feels light to us. So it's pretty easy for us to increase strength. So yeah, muscle memory is real. And it basically has to do with the cell structure actually being changed for life. That never goes away, that I'm aware of. Austin, worry about the things that matter will be my mental goal in the gym. Yes, and I hope you can always remember that. Worry about the things that matter. Focus on the things you can control. A lot of people are worried about variables they can't control in life. You need to focus on the things you can control in life and go after them hard. Let's see. Tamander, thank you, sir. Thank you. Big Nate, how to get stronger at the bottom part of the overhead press? Very good question. I'd be curious, Nate, to know what kind of variation you're doing. Seated, standing, behind the neck, so on and so forth. And how low you're taking it down and what your struggle is. There could be a chance that you're taking it down too low. But one thing I would suggest is that you consider trying to increase your overhead press in more of a volume range, like 8 to 10 reps per set. Do 3, 4, 5 sets of 8 to 10 and try to increase your strength in those ranges. I feel there's a lot of value in that, and that might help your problem. Scott, thank you for your time and effort. Thank you. Luke, tuning in late. What's up? How's it going, Luke? Let's see. Unalreated comments. Sorry, that messed me up. How many reps should one do if they are doing a dumbbell V-sit cross jab? All of them. Let's see. How much can you lift? All of it. Let's see. KS, cause of sore armpit during bench press. Never heard of that one before. A sore armpit. I don't even know what muscles are tied in at the armpit. Never been asked that in my 33 years of lifting. Probably the cause is that you're a superhuman beast and you're tearing it up at the gym and moving heavy ass weight, and you're just doing something. I'm being facetious, but it's true. I mean, you're in the gym and you're giving it, right? You're tearing it up. You're moving a lot of weight. You're doing something that you haven't done before, and stuff just gets sore. That is a good thing. So just embrace it. Pro tips, can't ignore scapular strength. Pro tip says he had an extra 6 inches, he'd be 8. Yep, knuckles on that. Good job. Pro tips, you must be a dwarf. Amen. Running conjugate, how often should I deadlift on max effort day compared to squats? Conjugate generally doesn't deadlift much that I am aware of. Conjugate generally does variations of the lift to bring up the deadlift. So they don't generally max on deadlifts. I don't ever recommend anybody, for whatever reason, pull above 90% of their deadlift unless they are at a competition. Let's see. Zercher squat is Z squat. Old school. Sorry. No, I'm very familiar with the Zercher squat, but now I forgot your question. All right. Post your question up again. I'm sorry. You bet, Donna. Big Nate says standing overhead press. Standing overhead press, yeah, I would go. I assume you're doing lower reps. I'm assuming. If so, I would probably switch to 8 to 10 reps per set and try to progress in that range. Do a little bit more volume. The Dustin Luongo show. Can genetics play a role in how strong you can get it? Genetics play a role in everything. Yes. There's many different genetic factors. Your bone lengths, your muscle sizes, all kinds of stuff. Tom, thoughts on trying to progress on the bench with no spotter? I did that my entire life. I've had a spotter maybe 5 times in my life. maybe 20. But you just got to, if you're at a commercial gym, you need to squat. You know what? I squatted in the damn squat rack. I don't give a shit. Because nobody's squatting in the damn squat rack to begin with. I benched in the squat rack because that's what I did at home as well. Because the catch pins, I could set them where if I missed, I could just sink down. So that's what I did. You have to get creative, or you just have to ask for a spotter. But at home, you can overcome that by squatting with a bench setup. I also had a bench that I bought that had safety pins that were set up. Catches that were set up if I failed. So if it's a home gym, you're gonna have to either squat in the squat or bench in the squat rack, or you're gonna have a bench that has those little holy shit catches that will catch the bar so you don't die. How's it going, Philippines? Noting, is it safe for a novice to strength train on a slight calorie deficit? Absolutely, it's safe. Absolutely. If you're in a calorie deficit, and I'm not being facetious here, but you don't just want to sit on the couch and count time. You need to move. Movement is life. It's absolutely safe. One thing you don't want to do is go super heavy on a calorie deficit. Super heavy means probably above 82.5% of your 1 rep max. Just train for volume and try to get stronger in your volume while you're on that cut. Tips for building squat depth. The best tip I can give you is to watch a lot of videos and to have somebody critique your squat. I'd be happy to do so. I do that every week. I provide a service. You just send me videos and I'll tell you what to do. The service is over at superlivingtoday.com. And that's actually probably the best way to improve your squat depth, is have somebody show you what you're doing wrong. Let's see. Always relate to your videos. I'm 300 pounds right now, and I hope to be like your physique after a year. Is that possible? Probably not. I'm just being real. It took me 4 years to go from 346. It took me 2 years to go from 346 to 246. And then I looked soft. And it took me the next 2 years to add like 10 to 12 pounds of muscle. So I'd like to say it's possible. We can't say it's not possible. It could be possible. But I will say it might take longer than that. But just focus on your health. Focus on taking care of yourself. And focus on heavy-ass weight. Harvey, how much can you do on dips? I don't do dips. I don't generally do dips. I don't have a dip station here. Just not one of my favorite exercises. My first couple of years in the gym, I focused on them a lot, and I think I got up to like, I don't know, 90 pounds for sets of 10 or whatever. But at that point, it gets kind of ridiculous. I mean, progressively overloading a dip. I don't get sexually excited about trying to load up 180 pounds on a dip and seeing if I can do 3 reps. There's a point on the dips where it just becomes a real pain in the butt to overload. So I don't really know. It's not an exercise I do or focus on. Let's see, Barry. USN Carl Vision CSAR. Let's see, Commander, one mean old dude. Love your stuff. No BS. Thank you for your support. Sorry, my phone kept, the comments keep going in and out on this app. So thank you for your service, sir. Big Nate, thank you. Moving to the Big O in a few months. Youngstown. Welcome to Ohio. Pro tips. Any advice on how often to program in a rest week? Just mentioned that earlier in the video. Each year we get sick a certain amount of times. We pick up strains and pains a certain amount of times. I don't like to randomly schedule in off time. I like to take it when my body needs it, or when I'm sick, or when I feel beat up, or when I just need mental time away from the gym. Milos. Overhead press, weighted dips, and pull-ups. Some isolation enough for the upper body. Is that enough? Overhead press, dips, pull-ups, and a few isolation exercises. It's okay. I don't have any problem with that. Just get a lot stronger on it than you are now. I guess the question is, when I see things like that, are you not doing other exercises because you don't want to? Or is that the only equipment you have? If that's the only equipment you have, then yeah, that's enough. Just get really strong and proficient at them. and find ways to progressively overload them. Austin, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds and have been doing cardio before I lift. I do cardio. Do I do cardio every day? Don't do cardio before you lift. That's backwards. You want to have as much energy as you can for the lifting, because to look good, you need muscle mass. There's no way around that. You always want progressive overload is king. You want to go into your lifting session with as much energy as you have. Do cardio after your lift. Because at the end of the day, we don't just want to lose weight. We want to look decent as well. We want to look reasonable. So should you do cardio every day? It depends on how much you're doing. Like if I was trying to run 1.5 hours a day like I did yesterday, my body would get beat up. You can do a little bit every day, but I would still take a day off, at least one day off a week, just to let your body recover and just to let your brain recover. Harut, why do you think bad advice and bro science just won't die? That's a life question, Harut. There's just a lot of people in life, and I'm trying to say this the right way, who, look, people just, life is busy, right? We don't always have time to scientifically research everything we do. I mean, between buying a new coffee pot and trying a new exercise and you know, everything that goes on in our life, we simply don't have enough time to research things. And people will put their faith in people that they think are experts, so they can kind of cut out the middleman and just get on to the business of you know, lifting. So there's a lot of trainers out there that teach from what they know, but what they know isn't exactly true. And they create these black and white statements. Sorry, we just froze up. They create all this nonsense. And sorry, I got to get back to the questions now. And people just follow it. So it'll never die. That's human nature. There'll always be chaos with humanity, ignorance and laziness. It's just part of our it's part of the human existence, human experience. It'll never die. Anders, how to engage legs properly in conventional deadlift. Anders, don't worry about what muscles you're engaging in a compound movement. Just do the compound movement. Don't try to turn a compound movement into an isolation movement. Don't do that. Get strong on deadlifts. Get strong on squats. Get strong on leg press. Get strong on lunges. Get strong on all your quad exercises. Your legs will grow. Don't take a compound movement and try to just focus on one muscle group. That's backwards. That's turning a compound movement into an isolation movement. That's something you don't want to do. Thoughts on using drugs to cut? No. This is not a drug channel. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But I don't talk drugs on this channel. I don't have experience with cutting drugs. That's not going to correct your behavior. All right, look at me. You're 300 pounds. And I'm saying this because I've been there myself. You know, you need to correct your behaviors. You need to take a complete assessment of what you are doing wrong that got you to a point where your weight is going to kill you, and it will. And you need to turn those behaviors around. You do. The only way somebody needs a drug to lose weight is if they're so large that they're at risk of dying, you know, in the next week, in the next month. And then it would probably be any step necessary to get that weight off, but that would be under a physician's supervision. Don't do that crap. Fix your habits. And you know what? You're 300 pounds, but you're not 35% body fat. And I'm saying that to be honest. You're not. You would have 210 pounds of muscle mass, and that's way more than I have. You're not 35%. Your body fat percentage is much larger than that. Stop focusing on that crap. Start focusing on your habits. And I'm telling you that because I care. Milos, I have limited equipment, some standards to shoot for on those lifts. You know, on pull-ups, on dips, I would do time sets like for 2 minutes or 3 minutes and try to do as many reps as you can in those 2 or 3 minute blocks, and then maybe do 3 or 4 of those and just try to do as many as you can in those blocks. That's about all you can do. Then you could add in like supersets with your dips. Like after you do your dips, you could do push-ups, that sort of thing, or a different isolation exercise. Eventually, it's going to run its course. You just have to find a way to challenge yourself. Shigur, can I smash tires with 11-pound hammers every day for 10 minutes? Yes, you certainly can. Let's see. Frank, how did you get over ego lifting? How does one get over ego lifting? They have to realize that it depends on what you define as ego lifting. Ego lifting is generally tossing weight around with bad form just to look cool. And the only way to get over that is realize you don't look cool and you're not really strong. Danielle, slow reps versus explosive reps. Don't go slow. The body isn't made to press like this. Don't do that. Don't. Just use a natural pace. Get strong at a natural pace, a natural feel. Don't overthink it. Let's see. Mina, have to have strong tendons and joints. Yes, you do. All right, guys, that's it. All the questions are done. Thank you so much for your support. Again, if I missed any of your questions, head over to Instagram at BenTheBarman, and I'll answer your question. And always understand the advice I give you. Sometimes I sound like a jerk or an asshole, but I want you guys to succeed. I do. I want you guys to have the best information, and I actually care. So if I missed your question, head over to Instagram at BenTheBarman. Fire it up. If you're interested in coaching, first month is free, no catch. I'm going to be talking to a client right now that's interested in signing up. So if you're interested, I have a couple slots available. If you need form assessment, workout assessment, diet assessment, or any of that other crap, head over to superlivingtoday.com. If you want a Massive Iron t-shirt, which you do, head over to superlivingtoday.com. All right. Guys, one more thing. I got a retreat. I got 5 spots left on a hiking retreat. If you want to hike with the Big Hairy Ugly Dude in October, head over to superlivingtoday.com. Check out the packages section, and it costs $150 per person. All foods included. 3 days. I take you on a tour of Ohio's best hikes. We're just going to have a lot of fun. We're going to hike. We're going to eat a lot of meat. We're going to do all that kind of fun stuff. So if you want to come, there's only 5 spots left out of 16. Head over there now and sign up today. Thanks for watching.